Have you ever been in a group project and just feel like you're overwhelmed and have no idea what to do? In my latest video, we're going to talk about how to harness the group dynamic through collective intelligence. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions, a licensed mental health counselor that helps thousands of people live happier and healthier lives through understanding that the brain is just a survival mechanism, and because of its neuroplasticity, because of its effort to survive, we can actually recreate and rewire our brain to live happier, healthier, more purpose-driven lives. In today's video, we're going to talk about this idea of the collective intelligence. The collective intelligence is a part that I am covering, a chapter in my newest book, Key Steps to Live a Happier and Healthier Life, Part 3, Interpersonal Effectiveness. And so what we're looking at is how do we maximize on groups and how do groups maximize on us? And the thing is with this idea of wisdom of crowds phenomenon, we actually see that diverse groups often make better predictions than individual experts. And the reason for that is individuals retain information, that implicit, explicit memory. We retain information that is relevant to us and our situation. So there are certain types of expertise that we will know that a group will be able to pull out multiple aspects of that. And not to say that that individual expert is wrong, but like when I talk to people, depending on what I talk to people about, because I have such a wide array of knowledge, I often will say, well, this is kind of the way, but then they'll come in and say, oh, well, I had this experience. It's like, oh, well, when you speak about that, then this is how I would respond to it in that manner. And that's because when you have expertise and you are a subject matter expert, context is relevant because how you would respond to something is very much, especially in behavioral health, dependent on context. And so what a group dynamic does is it gives you a lot more context and a lot more information so that you can actually provide and build on multiple ideas instead of kind of focusing on these particular ideas. And how you want to have and how you build the conditions for building a crowd of wisdom is diversity, independence, and decentralization. So what that means is you want a variety of different opinions, and you don't want too strong of opinionated people, but you want people who are able to be individualized, so they don't constantly feel the need to please or be connected to others, that they're really there to kind of understand and put forth their best interests, their best ideas based on their perspective and their experience. And then decentralization says don't have like a one goal, keep the curiosity going. It's all about a curious mindset. And so if you are somebody who's gotten very stressed out, especially with the current political climate, then a lot of people are feeling, and I feel like there's some propaganda out there that's kind of making people feel shame and guilt and helpless and hopeless, that there's nothing they can do, and if they are not a part of the solution, then they're a part of the problem. And that is all or nothing thinking. That's a cognitive distortion used to make you be in a reactionary brain. And instead, if this is something that is really important to you, find out what's really important to you. And then you can write your congressperson, you can write your senator, you can go and find lobbyists and see what they're doing and be a part of that. You can have a nonprofit. There are so many ways to get involved, but you have to choose where your agency is and how you want to get involved. But all of those ways are this wisdom of crowds. It's multiple people coming together to say, this is the best path forward. This is how we make the greatest impact. And when we do that, we also want to consider the psychology of safety and contribution. Because anxiety and fear judgment will hold us back. Remember that ostracizational trauma that I speak about? It'll hold us back from what we want to speak. And that individuation is how we prevent that holding back of wanting to speak. So there has to be a safe environment, because if there's any type of fear of judgment or kind of lashing back, then people are not going to contribute, and you're going to get into groupthink, which is a very, very dangerous place to be. And cognitive diversity is a great strength to collective intelligence, because having different ways in which people approach problems, a lot of people are like, well, I'm an engineer, and apparently the engineering mind is the way to be, because I'm just solution oriented. Give me a problem, I'll take out the emotion and give you a solution. It's not that simple. And it is one way, but it's not the best way, and it's not the only way. Some people have a lot of emotion, and there's value in that. When we look at the wise mind in DBT, we see that we need the logic and the emotion. And what overlaps with that is your wise mind. And so having the diversity of emotional thinkers, of logical thinkers, of problem solvers, of, the chaos people, the little troublemakers, the creatives, all of the different people, the sages, the caregivers, all of them are important in making a good collective effort. And some of the big pitfalls, again, is the groupthink, the status hierarchies, kind of the impact of what the idea is over evaluation, and these anxious high achievers and how they can navigate these dynamics effectively is being aware of what's happening, checking in on their own people pleasing, finding those grounding moments that we talked about in the last video. So go check that out. And being able to find and connect with what your values are and making values-based decisions. And another value to the collective intelligence is using AI and tools so that you're gathering information separately, quietly, and then being able to discuss it. One of my favorite things in couples therapy, but it works in a group too, is being able to get to a point where you can have conversations as if it's a jigsaw puzzle. A jigsaw puzzle is one of the few times where we can just dump all the pieces out and people know exactly what the purpose is. They go and they take ownership, they call what they want, and nobody fights about it. Nobody fights about it. We don't get into fights. We just say, okay, the whole goal is to make all these pieces look like this box. And that's the power of the group dynamic. If you can enter into it with using kind of technology, will help you kind of take the emotion out and the ownership out, so we get to raw ideas that are helpful. And social networking is a great part of this, and also a deflector of this, because we use social media as propaganda so often to curve people's emotions to make quick reactionary decisions for people's own personal gain. We really have an opportunity to be able to inform better decision making and being more aware of when we're doing the doom scrolling, what it's doing to our brain. It does not feel good. It does not feel good after a doom scroll. You're not healing yourself in any way. And then remember about the emotional contagion in groups. And what that means is that when we go to 12 Angry Men, it's like a classic movie. I think they remade it a few times. Classic. But the emotion, the anger, the doubt, how it feeds and festers, it's a virus. And it moves to other people. So the more that you can manage your anxiety, manage that doubt, manage that fear, the more that you are going to be present and be effective in your ability to maximize on the group dynamic. And we're going to talk about tomorrow about the Jungian collective unconscious, but this collective memory and organizational learning is a big part of how we store and retrieve information and the shared knowledge that we gain. And there are ways in which that helps us to kind of move forward and be more productive, and how we can then use that for documentation purposes so that we have a clear understanding of what our next steps forward. So when we are in meetings, when we're meeting with clients, no matter what it is, it's important to have that follow-up email. That's a CYA if you're ever in a toxic dynamic, but instead of feeling like, this is gonna be bad, they know that I am unhappy and I'm gonna have to speak up. And instead of doing it for that, make it a standard for you that when you're done with a meeting, follow up with an email. And not to say you did this or I did that, but it's a placeholder. It allows there to be that I value this meeting, I heard what you said, and this is what our next steps are. In every single counseling and coaching session that I have, I always end up sending an email after the session. And the reason I do that is because I want there to be a placeholder. I started in crisis, man. I love wrapping our little session up into a package and saying, this is what we did. And I'm not saying this is what we talked about. It is general statements. But based on our conversations, usually chapters out of my book is what I'm sharing with my clients. But based on our conversation, there is important things that we can learn and digest. And I want to give them something so that when they're sitting there anxiously wondering, like, what did she say? And what did I say? And what am I going to say? And what will she say? You know, I get that a lot from clients. You're going to be so mad. I just knew you were going to be so mad. And it's like, I'm never going to be mad. I have no judgment, man. We are on a journey, and sometimes we're moving really fast forward, and sometimes we're kind of figuring out, did we just get in a labyrinth? Like, are we just kind of circling in a mindful place? But never am I going to be mad or upset, because everything is a learning process and everything is an opportunity to move forward and to grow to live a happier and healthier life. So I give emails as a follow-up so that people have a placeholder. They know exactly what we talked about, and they have something that they want to bring to the table. And that also gives me kind of 3 options for our next session. It gives predictability. They know that one of 3 things they can choose to happen. They can bring in whatever happened in their week, and they could already have a topic ready and just go. And they just are like, let me tell you, I can't believe all of this happened. 2, I'll ask them, like, did you get the email? You can't fail therapy, but did you get the email? Did you have any questions? Were there any insights? Did you want to talk about it? It's an option. It's not something that you have to do. And then 3, would you like me to bring something up? We're talking about this last week. Do you want to continue on that? I noticed that there was a pattern here that I really was curious about. Do you mind if we explore it? And that way you don't feel like you're just in this abyss, but you feel like there's a partnership here, somebody who's truly invested in you. And it all starts with a little email that so many people get anxious about because they think that now they're on the clock and that they're being judged for having it. And it can be such a learning and growth opportunity. I hope this helps. And if you're looking to find better ways to navigate your social and emotional intelligence and want some coaching and support, and being able to maximize on the group dynamic, please reach out to me. I do offer a free 15-minute wellness insight to just hear from you kind of what your issues are, what your problems are, what you're wanting to change in your life. And I am here to help you on that journey. So if you like this, hit the thumbs up, subscribe, share it with others who may be navigating challenges in group dynamics as well. And please subscribe to get more and more information about living a happier and healthier life. I'm Jennifer Evans with Empowering Wellness Counseling Solutions. Thank you so much.